Hello, and welcome to another session with Pathways to Peace. We are trying to figure out how to get to peace, interpersonal peace, social peace, etc. And so our next speaker, it comes to us from the UK, and that is Raza Khan. Very experienced in emotional intelligence and is now working toward, I'm pushing toward, hey, how does this relate to peace? Let's go toward peace, please. So Raza, welcome.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you for the introduction. I really appreciate that to be here. First of all, I just want to make sure that everybody can listen to me. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, okay. You're audible.
What I'm going to do is that I'm going to share a screen. Okay. I mean, in the last 6 or 9 months, I've been working around we're talking about the inner peace, and the inner peace becomes quite a big subject, but inner peace is related to the inner leadership. Right. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to share the screen and then walk you through, guys. So let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes.
Matt? Yeah. Okay. So I'm sure you've heard the phrase that I'm not quite sure that the people have a misconception about the leadership, right? But the leadership is all about the relationship to the self and then the others. And I mean, I'll explain exactly what I mean and how the inner leadership is related to the emotional intelligence, and we'll walk through a few of the slides. But in the work environment, I'm sure you've come across that people don't leave the job, but they leave the managers. Have you ever asked that question, why that happens? I mean, and majority of the organizations are focused on technical training, and they want to make you a competent in a technical area, but they fail to tackle the most important area is the soft skills, i.e. emotional intelligence, and the time and space for and they don't give you a time and space for personal development. Hence, the technically competent people fail to become visionary leaders, or to mentor, or to motivate, or to manage the team, and they lose the edge and the job substantially. That's what happens, and that's where the emotional intelligence come into play, right? I've come across, in my own experiences, that I've come across, there's a lot of people who were my managers, but they were not emotionally intelligent. They did not know how to manage the team. We had all sorts of a struggle. I was constantly in this anxiety, stress, and battle with them because of their behavior, because their behavior was impacting on my life and my health. One of the scenarios was that I was working on one of the projects, and the guy was so bad that I become sick, being stress and anxiety, and that obviously that did not help, and my emotional intelligence was all over the place. So that's where it started from. But I'm happy to talk about if somebody wants to do the exercise, but this exercise can become available at later stage to realize that where you are in life in terms of what type of leader are you. I'm happy to share this slide deck at the later stage, so that's not a problem. If somebody wants to attempt it now in this time period, so be it. If it's not, more than happy to share that at later stage. So let me know, give me thumbs up, thumbs down. Either way, I'm happy with that.
Okay.
We attempt later or do it now?
Later is fine.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to talk about the inner leadership, what leadership to ourselves, outer versus inner leadership, what is inner leadership, why do we need to develop? And then, there is what do you call, the sixth agenda is the taming the elephant. And then they were talking about the home building exercise, right? So Matt, you already told about myself, and, you introduced me, so I'm not going to bother, or I'm not going to worry about this slide as much. But what I want to do is that I want to start with this, right? Now, I'm sure in the last couple of weeks, this has been in the major news about Will Smith smacking Chris Rock on the screen, and where millions of people across the globe was watching. So what I did is that I put the post in the emotional intelligence and some of my own groups, and the response was, you can see that 502 comments, 78 likes, dislikes, whatever, to share. Why am I sharing this with you? The reason is that I just want to show you there was two extreme examples of inner leadership. One was the Will Smith shows the lack of it, and on the other hand, Chris Rock shows how good he has in terms of the inner leadership. So let me explain what I mean by that. Inner leadership is all about self-aware and self-control, social aware, and a relationship management. Did Will Smith show any of those when he went up to the stage and smacked across Chris's face? No, the answer is no. Whereas Chris Rock, actually, he was fully aware of the situation once he got the smack. He had absolute right to smack back, because remember, when you are, as a body language, when you are angry at somebody, you are actually giving a permission to the other person to be angry at you as well at the same time. So it's like likes for likes, right? So Chris Rock showed self-aware. He was in absolute self-control, and he was socially aware. If he wasn't, the whole environment or the whole event would have been in tatters. And there is still videos and all these things is coming out at the moment, even though Will Smith has apologized, but his action is actually, shown across the globe and causes all sorts of problems. Even though organizers try to remove Will Smith from the event, but Chris Rock was a big boy or big man that he said no, he will allow Will Smith to continue in the event. His few minutes action causes a huge problem, especially it brings a lot of bad memories and anxiety to the people globally. And even some of the people in the comments, under that post, they were saying is that, oh, I can see, I can, this is resemble to me when I was growing up, or this is what happened with me, and this is what my dad was being bullied to me. All those things came about, and that causes the problem. So you can see that one person's action impact the entire world. But lack of self-aware, lack of self-control. He wasn't socially aware of it. He had a bad relationship management, and because first he was laughing on the Chris's joke, and then when Jada was looked at him and told him off, he decided to walk up across the stage and smack. Well, fine, but that means that there is a problem with the relationship side of it. Now, if you look at I don't know if a couple of years ago, there is a movie called Joker, where one person's action was actually destroyed the entire city. But that's where the inner leadership come into play. It will give you the tools you need to develop your self-aware, to develop your self-control, give you social awareness and the relationship management. Now, so what is inner leadership? So, I've already talked about, so inner leadership is all about going on a self-discovery journey and becoming a leader to yourself, and before you becoming a leader to the other people. We have to master the art of controlling our emotional reactions, overcoming limiting beliefs. We have to master the art of that inner conversation goes on in our head. And if we cannot control the thoughts that are going in our head, and the level of self-awareness or self-control, and then the level of self-belief, and then how on earth we could possibly be able to lead or effectively manage people, i.e. our family, ourselves, our children, because all the self-leadership, the inner leadership start with ourselves, right? Once we become a leader ourselves, then we can lead our family, lead our children, give them a right direction, give them, the visions and all those things. So that's where it starts from. Now, and I know that the COVID has impacted the world beyond our imagination. The world we know has changed drastically. Working from home used to be a rare case, but now is becoming known. Now more than ever, we need to take that journey to the inner leadership towards understand, to become a leader to ourselves before we become leader to outside world. And that's what this inner leadership is all about. And this will help us in terms of the mental health, emotional reaction, and overcoming limiting belief, because I'm hearing a lot of cases around mental health, around emotional reactions, around overcoming limiting belief. Matt, just to tell you, a couple of days ago, I think it was last week, I was talking to one of my friends in Singapore. They are setting up a community where they're going to help people with the mental health as well as the emotional problems, because as young as 10-year-old committing suicide. So what is the problem? The way the parents are not interacting, the way the children are behaving, all those things that's come into play. So I mean, you can ask that question, so what is inner leadership and how is it different from our outer leadership on everyday basis? Let me explain. Inner leadership, I've already talked about, explore the inner side of it, and that is a key to our leadership and a personal growth, and how we can become an inner leader first before we become leader for the others. There was a quote from the General Electric CEO Jeffrey Emlet. He said, "Leadership is a deep discovery about ourselves." His message was very clear. Beyond having a nice ring, good leadership doesn't necessarily compare with the output. It's much bigger than much more our personal side of it. At the moment, the conversation around the leadership fails to acknowledge that the biggest opportunity for change isn't about adopting a new technology or moving into the cloud or outsourcing a job or providing a collaborative tool to the employees or having a smooth process. All the above transformation are outwards and extrinsic to us. And they don't, and do not mention that what Imlet was talking about is that leadership is a deep discovery. I'm not talking about deep, dark discovery of women about ourselves. I'm talking about deep discovery of work as an inner experience, because the reason we're saying a deep discovery, because majority of the emotions is actually developed between the age of 6 and 16. A majority of the time, my esteemed colleagues and all the other people who works in the emotional intelligence area, they actually cater, majority of the work is being done in the office environment. But the work has to be done a lot before that, i.e. the age of 6 and 16, where there's a lot of people has developed their emotional intelligence. They've developed their self-awareness, they have developed their self-control, social awareness, i.e. interacting with their parents, with their siblings, with their teachers. That's where it starts from. And unfortunately, our focus is a lot less, and we would like to focus on that area. Most of the time when I coach people, I actually look at their childhood, what really happened to them, or why they are the way they are at the moment. So that's where the whole thing starts from. Nowadays, we believe that our effort is entirely exemplified what we can call is external work. But the problem is that we are missing from our experience is the inner leadership. I've already talked about what inner leadership is all about, which can add to the achievement of sustainable our personal and professional goals. Right? Okay. So this is a very good example. Is that I versus the world. So what I feel, what do I feel, and what do I do? If we put a scenario with what Will Smith did, this is exactly what it is, right? So in terms of that, what I feel is that I'll go and work for somebody, and then what other people do is they pay me for that. That's the inner work side of it. But you've got all the other outer work. What do I do? All these activities is actually taking place in our mind. But what we do is most of the time is the extrinsic side of it, which is this one. Let me just jump on that. So we're talking about the sorry about that. We're talking about the ordinary, the guidance, the solution, the vision, the teamwork, direction, strategy, communication, goal. All those ones. These are extrinsic to ourselves. All these activities, however, if you spend a considerable amount of time in terms of learning, become self-aware, becomes understand your self-control, or the anger, the anxiety, or the other activities, and aware of the social environment and how you build a relationship, all these extrinsic activities become easy to handle and will be able to manage them comfortably. I mean, I have applied that in my life once I've learned about the emotional intelligence, once I know about the self-aware, I have improved my self-aware and improved my self-control. And what I've found is that managing a team and doing all these extrinsic work becomes easier. So the most important question is that, would you start this journey to become emotionally intelligent? Most of the people, they feel that they're emotionally intelligent, but when they get the bad news, immediately they lose the temper. I'll give you a very good example. I think it was 2 weeks ago, me and my wife, we were driving. I know I hope, Matt, you're not going to share this video with my wife, but that's fine. 2 weeks ago, we were driving up there, and then towards the other town for a couple of days holidays. And halfway through, she realized that she didn't put a makeup box in the car, and then she screamed. So she actually lost, just for that moment, she actually lost the self-control. And obviously, the rest of the journey, because there was a 5-hour car journey, wasn't pleasant. But one thing is that the people react to that. That means that they lack the self-control, and that's where it is very important for people to have that journey, right? So what is leadership to self? Before anybody can reach a full potential as a leader, we must first be able to lead ourselves. We must capitalize our God-given innate talent, strength, challenge the habits that hinder our growth, and manage fears and negative emotions that frequently keep us from realizing our goals. So the question is, what stops us? The misalignment between our conscious mind and subconscious mind, the elephant-like aspects of our personalities, hold us back from meeting the life challenges. And I mean, you've seen all those scenarios at the moment across the globe, the fight, the Ukraine fight, the third world countries fight, Syrian fight, all those things. The impact of that, because this is an ego issue, which is again is an emotion. This is what's going on is a fight on the resource. But what they don't realize is that the impact of that is the traumas for the children and traumas for the parents, because they cannot sustain, they cannot manage it. They're running around protecting their life. That's just what's going on. Having a inner leadership will actually increase the empathy and then realizes that their action is impacting across the globe. Just like Will Smith, just like in the guy in the movie in Joker, this one person's action which actually impacts across the globe. These are the activities we need to develop, we need to instill in our younger children to be able to develop that inner leadership so they become a better person in the community and provide a peace across the globe, because that's what we're looking for. So the thing is that how do our emotions get in the way of our ability to act, communicate? What does it truly mean to commit and realize the dreams? Oops, sorry, just jump ahead. Okay, let me just, sorry about these guys, technical issue. Remember what I was going to talk about, the good leader may recognize that he indulges in elephant-like habits that keep him from reaching their goals. A great leader does something about it. That's the difference between the bad leader and a good leader. He confronts the behavior and routines that keep his subconscious. He works on a deep-seated belief, attitude, truth, so that they can support the conscious effort. The great leader conquers his hidden fears and makes emotional investment in his vision to show others the way to success. Right. So when I say taming the elephant, let me just talk about the worries and the stress and the anxiety. This is what when we're growing up, this is what we have, and we have built around over the years about nothing. We have a limiting beliefs given to us by someone. In my case, was my teacher, my father. They give me the limiting beliefs that I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough. That was and my uncle, those were the limiting beliefs I got. But thank God I have it, because I can do something about it. Emotional triggers, because when you were growing up, somebody said something or somebody smacked you and you were like too young to actually defend, and that becomes an emotional trigger. And I've seen time and time again and again, those emotional triggers is actually causes the reaction and causes the problem. Childhood stories, we're constantly repeating the childhood stories. The number of times I've come across in coaching is that the people jump from past to future. They miss the present. It seems as if they're the time traveler, or they have a crystal ball, because they are assessing their data from the past and assessing their future based on the past, but they are not doing anything about where they are in the present. And that's the problem. They need to work on the present. And present has, future hasn't happened yet. But if people continue working with the past and then going straight into the future, they miss the present and they miss the opportunity of managing these things. That's where the childish stories come from. And belief is I'm not good enough. This is constantly cropping up everywhere. And is that the people are good enough, but they don't realize that they're good enough. Then other gremlins. There's so many other gremlins you'll see. So on the other hand, our conscious mind is talks about the goals, the ambitions, right? This is what we want to achieve. This is what's going to happen. Aspiration of a good life, and the other opportunities. That's our conscious mind. But the problem is our subconscious mind is like an elephant. To tame an elephant is not easy, right? But whereas our conscious mind is just like a little ant. So now ant has to tame the elephant. Not easy, but is workable. It can be done. So the idea is that what we want to do is that we really want to, our goal is to align both minds so they work as a team. Team means together, everybody achieve more. Once they start working together, they will travel in one direction rather than the opposite direction. Then the world is their oyster. They can achieve anything they want, any ambitions or any goals they have in life. They want. And that is the purpose of this session, and then some of the sessions which I am coming across. There was another post I did, which is quite interesting result I got. My question was that, would you prefer an emotionally intelligent friend or emotional friend? Let me share the insight. Now, that was the question in there. And would you believe that I had more than 400 responses to this post? And everybody was interested to have an emotionally intelligent friend, but not emotional friend. But what gives me, this gives me an idea. They're okay to have the emotionally intelligent friend, but they're not okay about themselves, because what about themselves? Well, are they the emotional person which the other person would like to be a friend or not? That is the key questions which people don't realize. That when I did the video, then they had aha moments. So in order to become a emotionally intelligent friend to somebody else, you have to have your emotion in control. Now let's talk about, what is the outer versus inner leadership. So before we deep dive into that, let's take a few minutes to understand what the inner world versus outer world. My personal understanding is that our outer world comprises of the actions like, the daily activities, writing reports, managing team, having monthly meetings, stakeholder management. All those things are the external to us, right? These are the actions, our activities which involve to create value to outside to ourselves. But if it is entirely dependent on what we do for others and what others do for us, if you're like me, you undoubtedly thinking that precisely what we are paid to do that. So these are the activities which we do the most. For the majority of the professionals, the outer world is where we tend to devote majority of our working day or work days, right? In fact, much of our time devoted to our outer world, and we are too busy and focused on the outer world. And we hardly think about, and that is the issue, that when all our goals are focused on outer world, we miss the significance of doing the inner work, i.e. building emotional intelligence, which help us succeed in outer world. And the world will be less chaotic, and the people will have empathy towards the other people. That's what we're talking about. When it comes to making some hard choices, providing a creative solution to challenges we face, being empathic and inspirational leader, outer work only plays a tiny role in the grand scheme of things. In a knowledge-based industry, our daily work is driven by the vital inner work. There is a profitable side effect of executing it, which is significantly improving the decision-making abilities and output. I.e., when you're making a decision, if you're in self-control, you'll be able to make a very good decision, i.e. The decision for you and for the other person. While focusing on the outer work, which dominates many of our working hours, we often save our inner work and a personal development for our leisure time, which we don't have much of a leisure time, and that's what happens. So if we prioritize and ponder it all, inner leadership, journaling, deliberating, and feeling may well be part of the life and side of our work-life balance as well. But the inner leadership and personal development can make you more efficient and impactful in your working life. We have already talked about, but I mean, just a question, just revamping that. Is really the inner world, or inner work, or inner leadership, or personal development is allow us to explore our inner experiences, ourselves and others. That's what it does. Thinking about the inner experiences in the context of work is not something which we are used to doing in various ways. It can be a lot more difficult to conceptualize than our outer work. We often focus on how do we start the personal development instead of why do we want to do that. But because if we answer the why question, the rest of the journey will be easy. But the majority of the time we spend time on how question. Why is the least of our problem. That's how people behave. The problem is we have a lot of outer work to worry about, and it's tricky to be creative. That is because insight understanding is to do with how you think and not just what you do. How you think and perform is not outer work, it is inner work, i.e. your emotional intelligence, your limiting belief, your self-aware, self-control, relationship management, all those things. Inner leadership and personal development can be harder to understand because we don't have a clear vision of our life and a picture of our inner world in the first place. Often, if we haven't worked with a guide or mentor, going to personal therapy or developed into our spiritual life, we may not even realize that there is an inner leadership, inner work to be performed on ourselves, and it is like performing surgery on ourselves. The realm of outer work is the world outside to us. The realm of inner work and inner leadership, inner work is the world inside of us. So that's the focus we should have, and that's the focus. I think this is the theme for this event as well. Our inner world plays a most important role as in how we conceptualize and connect with the outer world. But we human beings may not give our existing view or inner self enough credit for what happens outside of us. Our inner world includes all the processes, beliefs, values, mental models we use to make sense of ourselves and the world around us. However, some aspects of our inner world are conscious, while the other elements are subconscious or automatic. Our inner
Raza, we just have a few minutes. Can you kind of wrap up?
Sure. I'm almost done.
Okay, very good. Go ahead.
I'm just going to jump, just to quickly give you 4 points, and then I'll wrap it up.
Okay.
The most important thing which we need to do, why do we need to develop the inner leadership? So focus on our welfare, modify our daily, that will help us modify our daily habits, simply increasing our understanding and experience and reflections, developing our inner leadership, and you will be astonished as to how these things help you. I mean, there was I'm going to share this slide, but I would like people on their own time to do a home building exercise. But I'm just going to wrap it up with this one, with the people, Stephen Covey's quote, people are working harder than ever, but because they lack clarity and vision, they aren't getting very far. They are, in a sense, pushing a rope with all their might. And this is the program which I'm working on, inner leadership coaching program. 6 modules consist of video training, weekly coaching, and complete e-learning modules on EI and access to the private Facebook. And that's it from me, Matt.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for being willing to share your PowerPoint. It was very good. I learned about the difference between inner and outer leadership. I never heard that distinction before. I enjoyed that. It's right on, right on, because this all starts with us, right? And we need to lead us and lead our life, lead our career, lead our emotions, all that, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So very good. So I also think that if we can lead us into positive directions, we can have some empathy, we can have some compassion, we can have some relationship skills, and absolutely, which leads to peace, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's where we're going with all this. Beautiful stuff. Thank you, Raza. I appreciate your time and your wisdom. And we will be posting this later. Please send me your PowerPoint. So
I will.
take care.
I will do
Thank
that.
you.
Thanks. Cheers. Thanks very much.